श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Deepa, go ahead and unmute yourself. Arjuna uvacha.
Which one, Jaykumarji?
Tritiyodhyayah. So we are in the third chapter. So we will.
Oh, from the start, from 1?
Yeah, from 1.
Okay.
So Arjuna uvacha comes before that one only.
Okay.
Arjuna uvacha.
Arjuna uvacha.
Jayasi chet karmanaste.
Jayasi chet karmanaste.
Mata buddhir janardana.
Mada buddhir janardana.
Tat kim karmani ghore mam.
Tat kim karmani gore mam.
Niyojayasi keshava.
Niyojayasi keshava.
Vyamishreneva vakyena.
Vyamishreneva vakyena.
Buddhim mohayasiva me.
Buddhim mohayasiva me.
Tadekam vada nischitya.
Tadekam vada nischitya.
Yena shreyoham apnuyam.
Yena shreyoham apnuyam.
Shri Bhagavan uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan uvacha.
Lokesmin dvividha nishtha.
Lokesmin dividva nishtha.
Dvividha nishtha.
Dvidha nishtha.
Pura prokta maya nagha.
Pura prokta maya nagha.
Jnana yogena sankhyanam.
ज्ञानयोगेन साङ्ख्यानाम्
Karma yogena yoginam.
कर्मयोगेन योगिनाम्
Na karmana manarambhat.
न कर्मणामरा अनारम्भात्
Naishkarmyam purushošnute.
नैष्कर्म्यं पुरुषोऽश्नुते
Na cha sanyasana
न च सन्न्यसनादेव
siddhim samadhigacchati.
सिद्धिं समधिगच्छति
Nahi kaschit
न हि कश्चित्
kshanamapi
क्षणमपि
jatu tisthati
जातु तिष्ठति
akarmakrit
अकर्मकृत
karyate hyavashah.
कार्यते
Hyavashah
ह्यवशः
karma
कर्म
sarvah prakritihi
सर्वः प्रकृतिः
sarvah prakriti jaihi
सर्वप्रहृतिजैवी
jaihi
जैः
gunaihi
गुणैः
nahi kaschit kshanamapi
न हि कश्चित् क्षणमपि
jatu tishtatya karmakrit
जादुतिष्ठत्य कर्मकृत
karyate hyavashah karma
कार्यते ह्यवश्य कर्म
sarvah prakriti jair gunaihi.
सर्वः प्रकृतिजैर्गुणैः
Good. So last class we continued Krishna's answer to Arjuna's question about Arjuna's question was about karma versus jnana. So one thing has become very clear to us, that there are two things. Action is there. We are very familiar with action, and our life is just a series of actions. And whether it is talking or walking or speaking or thinking, everything is an action. So we know what action is. And then there is something called knowledge, jnana. So by now we have come to know there are two things. And we are beginning to understand that this purusharthas, dharma, artha and kama can only be accomplished by karma. Karmana dharma, artha, kama, purusharthaha prapyante. But then moksha, this other purushartha that is there sitting at the bottom and which is now slowly coming up, that moksha purushartha can only be achieved by knowledge. Correct? That much we have understood, and that is why the doubt now Arjuna is having. And so Arjuna says, great, I know that, I understand it, so I want moksha, so let's talk knowledge. And that's karma is not going to get me. You only told me that karma cannot give me moksha. Okay, so this is Arjuna's question. So lokesmin dvividha nishtha, Krishna answers in shloka number 3, and he said there are two committed lifestyles for anybody, and one is called karma yoga for those who are in their ashramas, brahmachari, grasta or vanaprastha ashramas. For such people who have duties to perform, for them karma yoga. And then for those who can dedicate their lives to pursuing this knowledge, shastram, sankhyanam, sannyasinam, for them there is something called jnana yoga. This we saw a class or two ago. And fourth shloka, he said, he's very beautiful statement. Na karmanam anarambhat. Just in case, hey Arjuna, just in case you are thinking that you stop doing activity and then you become wise. Just by stopping, not doing anything. Because karma doesn't give moksha, That means you should stop doing anything. That's the idea. So don't think just by stopping, just by walking away from your duties, you can get moksha. Or don't think nacha sanyasana deva siddhim samadhigacchati. And don't think just by donning saffron clothes, you are becoming a wise person. People will respect you for wearing those ochre robes, saffron clothes, no doubt. People will do namaskar to you. In our culture, that's how it is. But that doesn't mean anything. This moksha to nahi hoga. And you will get lost if you just wear sannyasa clothes, orange robes just like that. If you're not prepared, it can cause more trouble than good. Okay. So this is the implication of the shloka number 4. And today we are going to start number 5. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karma krit karyate hyavashah karma sarvah prakriti jair gunaihi. So here Krishna is saying that this idea of actionlessness, okay, that was introduced in chapter 2 and specifically mentioned in verse number 4, naishkarmyam. That word was used by Krishna, naishkarmyam. The vision of actionlessness, the state within quotes, the state of actionlessness. So that should not be taken literally. That is what is being said here in shloka number 5. So no person can remain without engaging in action. That's the idea here. So any given moment, a human being has to be acting, has to be doing something voluntarily or involuntarily also. So chalanatmakam karma, definition of karma. Chalanatmakam karma. Chalanatmakam. Action is in the form of motion. Simple translation of that. Chalanatmakam karma. Action is defined as that which is in the form of motion. So we can relate to motion and any movement. And so, of course, talking, walking, etc., grasping, doing things, cooking, all these are of course actions, no doubt. But then breathing is also an action, even though it appears to be involuntary, mostly involuntary, except during pranayama and other times when we are conscious about our breathing. Our breathing is involuntary. We don't think twice about it. But that is also action. And even when somebody says, I'm keeping quiet, we saw that. I'm keeping quiet. So keeping quiet is also an action, because it is free will is used, and so one has to decide to keep quiet in order to keep quiet. So it's an action, even though physically you don't see any action. And in any case, the person is still breathing and so forth. And so all those are all actions. So he says here, nahi kaschit kshanam api jatu tishtati akarma krit. Kshanam api, not even for a second. Kshanam api akarma krit jatu. Not even a chance, not even for a second. He uses the word kshanam. For a moment also, a person cannot be free from action. Akarma krit. So somebody says, no, I am motionless. Our Guruji is, see, he's been sitting like this for hours and hours and he doesn't talk at all. He is actionless. He is a real sannyasi. And so you talk to him. And then how do you communicate with him? Does he eat food? Yeah, he eats food. But he will not ask for food. We give him food. Okay, good. And then so you go in front of him to do namaskar. Namaste, Guruji. And then I heard you are the real example of Naishkarmyam. And so I've come to offer my namaskars. And so Swamiji, how can you be actionless when you eat food? You're breathing. Are you breathing, Swamiji? But breathing is an action, Swamiji. I have a doubt. I've come to ask a doubt. And no. Ask them. They will tell you. So then finally, no, I'm going to get all my children now. I'm not convinced. So that this is true. So I'm going to get all my school children here. I want them to see this. Swamiji, I'm going to get them to watch this idiot who says he's actionless, but he's shaking his head and he's eating food and he's breathing and all that. What idiot? Then suddenly opened his eyes, it seems. So opening the eyes is an action. So thinking is an action. Hearing is an action. Getting shocked is an action. Getting insulted is also, you respond to that. So it's very obvious that this idea of actionless cannot be taken literally. There is no chance of that. And Krishna doesn't allow us to do that. And so even in deep sleep, Swamiji says, even in deep sleep, there is a lot of activity. And that is why when we get up in the morning, we got to do a lot of things. And how come body has been functioning? I'm famished, people say. So how you are famished? You are sleeping all day, all night. How you can be famished if there is no activity? Thanks to this body, thanks to Ishvara, this body has been working all night long and doing what it needs to do. Therefore, that activity also is going on. And so here, nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtati akarma kritam. Kaschit, nobody. Nahi kaschit, nobody. No person can remain without action. That is the meaning of that sentence there. And then in the second line, this causes of action. How come? Why is it like this? How come even animals are like that? Animals also constantly moving. You can't see. Animals are moving even more. Now we are wondering whether animal moves more or human being moves more. We don't know now these days. But a fly constantly moves. A butterfly also keeps on moving. Cannot sit in one place. And so that model is given here. That model. The model of three gunas. So three gunas we're all familiar with. Sattvam, Rajas and Tamas. These are the three gunas which have, so Sattvam means that quality which makes a person calm, which makes a person think, which makes a person move towards dharma. Those kinds of attributes are called sattva. So we say sattvic, etc. And then rajas. Rajas means activity. So the minute we get up in the morning, we have sattva. That's why they say study when you get up in the morning. We keep telling our children. Don't sleep late, sleep early, get up early and study. Because in the morning time, that sattva is predominant. Before rajas takes over, because 8 o'clock means 7:30 means you have to cook, you have to breakfast, packing, moving, so many things start. So rajas kicks in. And there is no noise in the night and suddenly noises. And in India means cars are also honking, king, 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 and non-stop. So that goes on. So rajas kicks in. Then tamas. Tamas means this dullness, this lethargy, this laziness, this inertia. No, I'm not interested. I'm bored. I'm tired. No, I can't think. I don't understand what he said. This, that, those attributes are all uh, represented by the word tamas. Okay, this we know from before. So he says here, uh, the three gunas that are born of prakriti is the cause of action. That is what he's saying here. Okay. Prakriti, that word has been introduced. We have not seen that before. So prakriti means, the way to think about that is material cause. So every object, any object in this world needs a material. That material cause is called prakriti. And in the end, we will say maya, prakriti. But that material cause, the material which provides for an object. So pot is there, clay is the prakriti, and any other solid object is there, table, chair, wood is the prakriti of the table, and so forth, plastic, ityadi. And so that prakriti, every prakriti will have three attributes: sattvam, rajas, and tamaha. Every prakriti, every material, any material. So whether it is solid, gas, or liquid, will have three qualities. And so the three qualities born of prakriti, like that, Krishna is giving a model here for us to understand this, why this motion is constant, why motion is constant. And then the thing about prakriti is, the product that is made of prakriti, any material, the product will have the attributes of the prakriti. That is obvious. So a clay pot will have the same look of the clay, will have the same weight of the clay, will have the same smell, odor of the clay. So like that. So a golden bangle is there, bangle made of gold. Well, bangle will also have the same qualities of the gold, and shininess, doesn't get rusted. All these are qualities of gold which become qualities of the product. So like that. So anything you look at, the Shastra may look at the mind at some point. The mind is also a product of Prakriti, which has three gunas, and therefore the mind also has these three attributes: Sattvam, Rajas, and Tamas. Okay, that is a way to look at Prakriti. And in the mind, this idea is there, this dullness, this activity, and this calmness. All these are, we see in our own mind. Every single mind has that attribute. Not that somebody is completely 100% sattvic, somebody is 100% tamasic. No, it's not like that. Even a sannyasi will get tired, will get, after a while in the night, it's just not possible to concentrate because the body doesn't allow that. So that is tamas kicking in. And then later on in the 17th chapter, Krishna is going to talk about in detail how these three gunas are going to manifest, are going to express themselves. He gives many examples. One example he gives, yesterday one girl talked about it. And datavyamiti yadda, Datavyamiti yad danam diyate anupakarine. So it talks about danam. Krishna talks about danam. Danam means giving. And he says giving also is of three types. What are the three types of giving? Satvika danam, Rajasika danam, and Tamasika danam, of course. And what do you mean by that? Well, if I give with something with an expectation, I want something back from my gift. Okay, if that is the idea, then it is a tamasika danam. It is danam, no doubt, but it is tamasik. It will not help you. Okay, what is rajasika danam? Well, I don't want anything. I just want name and fame. And just recognize me. Put my name publish my name in the newspaper that this guy is a philanthropist, That's all I want. I don't want anything else. So pride, name, fame. And so that is called Rajasika Danam. So I give, but still there is some expectation, but in the form of some name and fame, etc. Then what about Satvika Danam? They say the left hand should not know what the right hand is giving. Like that you should give, they say. And some of you may have heard of that. So giving because something is to be done, and not because of any other reason. It has to be done by me, therefore I give. That's all. That's the only reason. That kind of danam is called Satvika Danam. And so this girl, Kathy, I think it was Kathy, if I remember right. So she mentioned yesterday about what this danam is. She didn't use these words, sattva, rajas, and tamas. She's in 7th grade, 8th grade. Beautiful talk she gave, brief, 3-4 minutes. And she says, giving at the right time, giving at the right place, and giving for the person or entity that deserves it. That is called giving. That is how she defined it. So she doesn't know that Krishna said that in the 17th chapter. Deshe kalecha patrecha. Deshe means at the right time. Now is the time to give. Floods has happened, means now only you should give. No, I'll think about it and give 2 weeks later. 2 weeks later means what? There is no power, people are suffering, and the trees have fallen down, and so much is going on. There is no food, helicopter drops water. So now is the time to give. So deshe, kale, that is kale, excuse me, what I said just now is kale, time to give. And then deshe means place. At the right place, you do that. So you go to a yajna, whatever, there are panditas doing homa and things like that. Right then, that is the time that is a place to give. So give it. Deshe kalecha patrecha. Patram means to the one who is qualified. One who needs. Qualified means it's not like we are making a judgment about the person, but the person is needy. The people are needy. So it must be done, and you therefore give it. Somebody wrote to me, and you're doing good work, and I want to donate, and please send me monthly reports. Please send me monthly reports. Now tell me what I should do. How should I respond to this person? It's not like we are running a big organization and then, this side treasury department, and this side marketing department, and that side, sales department. And we don't have nothing, no department here. Everything is us, and every department is here only. And so he wants reports, monthly reports. I didn't say anything. I just left it at that. And he also left me. So it's good. It's mutually, it's all very beneficial. I don't bother him. He doesn't bother me. So this trying to get too much out of little 1 rupee, 2 rupees, So trying to buy off people and organizations, it won't work. With some people, it won't work. And patrecha. So the person who gives should also know, is this organization deserving? Is this person deserving? And giving to National Rifle Association. Hey, do some homework. What is the so in America and all, big discussion happens. And National Rifle Association. So it runs on donations. And you do some homework, find out what is all this about, and does your money, hard-earned money, should it go to such organizations? World Vision is just ruining our country, and they're converting people left and right. Biggest organization, Christian organization, and even though they have nice fancy brochures of children and feeding the hungry and all that, don't get carried away. We need to be clear. In this day and age, so much material literature is available in Google. So patrecha, Krishna uses the word patram. Make sure you give to the right people. So sattva, rajas, and tamas. And if I don't do my homework, then my money gets wasted. Tamasika danam. So here, what are we saying? There are three gunas, sattvam and rajas and tamas, and the desires that happen in our mind also is born of those three gunas. Those desires will have those three gunas in them, and my desire depends on the predominance of what guna is there in my mind, and then those desires in turn will make me do actions, and those actions will reflect those gunas. Correct? Those actions will reflect my desires, which in turn will reflect the gunas. So he's giving a model, guna based model, to understand action. And so here nahi kaschit kshanamapi. Let's look at that. So therefore, why Krishna is talking about it, we should not forget. Where does this action, giving up action, comes? That's because Arjuna wanted to give up, and he's suddenly getting interested in Vedanta. We're all interested in Vedanta. We don't know for what reason also. And so this sounds exciting. So Arjuna found it very exciting, and so why are you asking me to do karma? That is his question. And just because you walk away from your dharma, it is not going to help you, Arjuna. And so this being actionlessness does not mean not doing action. It can therefore mean only through knowledge you can recognize actionlessness. Actionlessness is a recognition. It is not a state. It is not a state of not doing action. It is not a state where one simply sits like this. No, there is not actionlessness. Only through knowledge. What kind of knowledge? The knowledge that I am actionlessness. My nature is actionlessness. Atma's nature is actionlessness. There is no action. Atma does not perform any action. Actions get done through the body, through the three gunas. This is the message Krishna wants to give here. And so giving up action is a matter of knowing. It's not a matter of just stopping everything and doing nothing and walking away from our duties. And so, hey Arjuna, Raga Dveshas are there, and for you, Karma Yoga is mentioned because that activity has to be done, and the activity, only through activity I can neutralize my Raga Dveshas. Without having a field of activity, I cannot simply sit. Otherwise, I'll be just fuming, and I'll be just aching and pining for so many things. And so go do what is to be done, do your duty. Through that, and only through that, I can neutralize my Raga Dveshas. Correct? This has been Krishna's refrain all along. So let us look at the shloka. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu. So indeed, that word he, second word, indeed, comma, no one ever remains. Kaschit kshanam na jatu. That is how it works. Kaschit. Na kaschit. I think that's the way to put it. Na kaschit kshanam jatu. No one ever remains for even a second. Kshanamapi. For even a second. No one ever remains for even a second. Second what? Without performing action. Akarmakrit tishtati. Akarmakrit tishtati. Last two words of the first line of the shloka. Akarmakat tishtati. So without performing action, because is where is because? It is sitting, hiding in the second line. Karyate hi. That word he is there. He avashaha. Has to be split like that. Karyate hi avashaha karma sarvaha prakriti jaihi. There is a word called prakriti jaihi. And then gunaihi. Two words there. Prakriti jaihi and then gunaihi. So in the first line, kaschit kshanam api. There are three words that are just sticking to each other. Kaschit kshanam api. Okay. So indeed, no one remains for even a second without performing action, because everyone is forced to perform action. Everyone, sarvaha, everyone is forced to perform action. Avashaha karma karyate. Avashaha, forced, helplessly. Avashaha literally means helpless. So helplessly forced to perform action. Forced to perform action means is helplessly performing action. Okay. Forced to perform action what? By the gunas. You can say within brackets, by the three gunas. Born of Prakriti. Three gunas within brackets, sattva, rajas and tamas. So forced to perform action by the three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas, born of Prakriti. So how does the shloka translate? Indeed, comma, no one ever remains for even a second without performing action. No one ever remains for even a second without performing action, because everyone is forced to perform action by the three gunas born of Prakriti. So you really can't translate these words, guna, Prakriti. There's no need to translate it into English. There are no words to translate this. Guna is guna. That's the English word for guna. Okay. Good. Okay. Now we are going to look at this verse number 6. Okay. Sharada ji.
Yes, ji.
Karmendriyani.
Karmendriyani
Sanyamya.
Sanyamya
Yaaste.
Yaaste
Manasa smaran.
Manasa Smaran
Indriyarthan.
Indriyartan
Vimudhatma.
Vimudhatma
Mithyacharaha.
Mityacharaha
Sa uchyate.
Sa uchyate
Karmendriyani sanyamya.
Karmendriyani Sanyamya
Ya aste manasa smaran.
Ya aste manasa smaran.
Indriyarthan vimudhatma.
Indriyarthan vimudhatma.
Mithyacharasa uchyate.
Mityacharasya uchyate.
Yeah. So here Krishna is talking about the one who does not know Atma, does not know the nature of Atma, and goes about doing things. Okay, so he uses a word called mithyachara. Mithyachara. Mithya. Here, mithya does not mean the mithya as opposed to satyam. Not that word, not that mithya. Mithya has 2 or 3 meanings. And so there the meaning was what? Mithya is that which depends on something else for its existence. Correct? That is mithya. Satyam is that which does not depend on anything for its existence. It exists by itself, self-existent. That is Satyam. We saw that earlier. Here, mithya means false, not true. False living, mithyacharaha, false living, a fake living, a living that doesn't make sense, is not useful for that person. That is the meaning of mithyacharaha. A person who lives like that is called mithyacharaha. And essentially referring to a person who does not know the Atma, does not know the nature of Atma, and not referring to every person who does not know Atma, referring to the person, referring to Arjuna here. Krishna is cautioning Arjuna. Simply saying, no, actionlessness, therefore I am going to just drop off everything and I'm going to sit without doing any action and get moksha. That person, okay, that person who decides that, who takes the word actionlessness literally, that person, he is referring to that person as a mithyacharaha. Because you can sit by yourself and saying I am actionless, but then the mind is going to be all over. It's going to go all over. Mother, father, children, sister, brother, friends, things, this, that, so many things to be done. Who's going to do all that? And things that have been done are still pending. And some things have a knack, they never get done, and paperwork is always pending. Bank is calling for this and that, and you constantly fill papers. I don't know, America, we didn't have that much. India, it's constant. They will say KYC and they will say this, they will say that. You can't sit quiet. Hey, I want to study. And I'm rented an apartment so that I can sit quietly here. Here also not easy. So because something will be going on. And so and then you sit and meditate. And we are supposed to meditate. How you can meditate? Not possible. Even for a person who's committed to Vedanta, it is difficult to meditate. What to talk about Arjuna, and who's there for a purpose, who's come to the battlefield for a purpose. And so definitely if he gives up, he will be a mithyacharaha. Correct? He'll be a mithyachara. Because Atma as Ananda has to be understood clearly. Then everything will work. And because that clarity is there, and so I'm not seeking Ananda from anything out there, and so nothing will have the ability to shake me, to move me, to elate or depress me. And so that person, another word Krishna is using here for that person, Vimudhatma. 2 words he has used for that same person. That person is Vimudhatma. Vimudhatma means what? Moha. Mohena baddhaha. Mudhaha means moha. So generally we say fool and all that. Mudaha. Mudaha doesn't mean fool. Literal meaning here means deluded, confused, confounded. He thinks he knows, but he really doesn't know. That person is called Mudaha. So see, suppose I say I don't know something. That's good, because if I know I don't know, at least I'm willing to hear, willing to know what is this, what is it? Tell me more. I can ask the question. But this fellow thinks he knows, and therefore there is no question of trying to find out what is right, what is wrong. Therefore, Vimudaha. Mudaha itself is enough, but Krishna is using another prefix, Vimudaha. Visheshena Mudaha. Very specially confused, very importantly deluded. I don't know how to translate this V. Of special note, a special confusion, the special confusion of Atma, the Atma confusion, and not just Atma confusion. Atma confusion everybody has, but this fellow thinks I'm going to get moksha by just sitting quietly and then doing nothing. That person is called Vimhudatma. And so, and Shankara uses some words. He uses a word for papacharaha. For mithyacharaha, he says papacharaha. He's very using a very strong word. Person who commits a papa, because the dereliction of duty, right? Not doing what you're supposed to do is the dereliction of duty. So papacharaha, he says, Shankaracharya. So that is the person described here. So let's look at the shloka. Karmendriyani. Let's see what Shankara doesn't write much on this, so we can actually look at his words. Karmendriyani. Okay. So in our Shastram, you will find 2 words or 3 words. You will find Indriyani, you will find Jnanendriyani, and then you will find Karmendriyani. Correct? So you may wonder, what is all this? Is one different from the other, etc.? Indriyani in general, if it is used, I'll come to that a bit later. Jnanendriyani literally refers to the 5 sense organs. Jnanendriyani, sense organs. Those organs which give me knowledge, means they are pramanas, right? They're all pramanas. So they, without operating the pramanas, I cannot know the color of an object, etc. Therefore, Jnanendriyani, they give me knowledge of whatever of the objects. They call Jnanendriyani. Then Karmendriyani. Karmendriyani are organs of action. Organs of action. Okay. And so what are the organs of action? Vak, Pani, Pada, Payopasthani. They are the 5 organs of action. Vak. Vak is speech, the organ of speech. Pani, hands. Pani, Kodanda Pani. One who has Kodanda in his hands. Rama ityartaha. The bow Kodanda. So Pani, hands. Vak, Pani, Padam. Pada. Pada means legs. Organ of action. Makes us move. And what about hand? It makes us grasp, etc. Makes us do things with our hand. So Vak, Pani, Pada, Payu. Payu is the organ of excretion. Only through that the Malatyagaha, the giving up of the waste products of the body are done. So that's an organ of action. And then Upastha. Upastha is the organ of reproduction, sexual organ, through which procreation takes place. So Karmendriyani, they are all called what? Karmendriyani, organs through which we express ourselves. Jnanendriyani, organs through which data comes into us. Okay. So here Karmendriyani, organs of action. So Indriyani, third word I said Indriyani. Sometimes Indriyani refers to Jnanendriyani, sense organs. Sometimes it can refer to Karmendriyani. Often it can refer to both Jnanendriyani and Karmendriyani, or sense organs and organs of action. Okay, so here Karmendriyani. So Shankara says Hastadini, hands, etc. Hands, etc. That's why he's referring to that organs of actions, 5 organs of actions. Action. Okay. Karmendriyani Sanyamya. Sanyamya means what? Having controlled, having mastered the organs of action. Having Having disciplined them, they're not let loose. Okay, we can include sense organs also here, nothing wrong, because there also mastery is important, right? So Karmendriyani Samyamya, and Shankara uses just one word, Samhritya, just Samhritya. Remember that sloka. Yada samharate chayam kurmongani va sarvashaha. Samharati, like the tortoise, samharati, brings its limbs inside the body. That same word he uses, samhritya, Shankara uses. So then what? Ya aste. Shankara says tishtati, yaha tishtati, aste. One who remains, one who is having mastered one's organs of action and sense organs. Manasa, Shankara doesn't say anything, leaves it to us. So here Swamiji says buddhya. So manasa, mind. Mind means what? Well, include the intellect also. Because the intellect is needed, very much needed in this process. And then smaran. Smaran. Smaran means, Shankara says, chintayan, thinking about. This, remember, the person being described as mithyachara, right? So mithyachara, what is it? I'm going to sit quiet. I'm going to sit quiet. I'm going to behave like a muni, like a rishi, and I'm going to sit like this. That person having mastered, is not, of course, mastered the sense organs. Okay. Smaran, thinking about what? Indriyarthan. Indriyarthan means arthas of the indriyas, objects of the sense organs. That is the meaning. Vishayan. He will be constantly thinking about various things. That is the meaning. He's supposed to be sitting, but look at the way the mind is active. Active, correct? Really, he's not sitting. He is very active. He's busy wondering about so many things. What is going to happen to the stock market? When is the pandemic going to end? What will happen to my bank balance? This is what is going on in the head. Okay, Indriyarthan Smaran. Okay, and then Vimudhatma. Vimudhatma. Here the word Atma doesn't mean Sachidananda Atma. Atma also used in various contexts. Atma can refer to a person. And here Shankara says Vimudha Antahkaranaha. Vimudha Antahkaranaha. He is helping us by saying this Atma means mind. Mind. One whose mind is deluded. Correct? Mind is deluded. Vimudha Antahkaranaha. Then Mithyacharaha. We saw earlier, Shankara says Papacharaha. A person of false living, person who's confused, whose lifestyle is going to bring destruction for himself and for others related to him. Papacharaha. Saha uchyate. So let's translate the shloka. Let's see how it works out. The one who, yaha, there is a word yaha in the first line. That yaha, the one who. So whenever there is a yaha, what should we expect? We should expect a saha. Therefore, we see that saha in the second line. The one who, comma, mastering the organs of action, karmendriyani sanyamya. The one who, comma, mastering the organs of action, comma, sits with the mind, aste manasa, sits with the mind. Of course, nobody is going to sit without the mind, but sits with the mind, remembering those sense objects. Remembering those sense objects. Indriyarthan smaran. Indriyarthan smaran. Remembering those sense objects. Thinking about those sense objects. Those means what? Those sense objects. Means anything. Things that we think about. That's what it is. Whatever bothers you. I don't think of Pluto. Get up in the morning, I think of Pluto, planet Pluto. Nobody does that. Nobody has to think, because it doesn't appear in your life at all. Pluto is irrelevant, whether it is there, whether it is rotating, it is revolving, what happened, nothing. We don't worry about that. Things that we think about are the things that causes a lot of worry. Those objects is deluded. Vimudhatma is deluded and is called a person of false conduct. Mithyacharaha saha uchyate. Mithyacharaha saha uchyate. The one who, mastering the organs of action or disciplining the organs of action, sits with the mind remembering those sense objects. Those sense objects means those which these organs of action otherwise would have been engaging with. So remembering those sense objects is deluded and is called a person of false conduct. Okay. And so false conduct. Then the next sloka, Krishna is going to talk about a person who is the person of right conduct. So we will see that in the next class. Om swasti prajabhyah paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahishaha go brahmanebhyah shubhamastu nityam lokas samasta sukhino bhavantu kale varshatu parjanyah पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतंगमय ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ओम शांति शांति शांतिः हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम।